I never wanted to live in Los Angeles. For a small town girl from Texas, it felt too loud, too fast, and too full of itself. I used to say that even the sun felt fake here, like a spotlight you couldn't turn off. It wasn't logic that brought me to Burbank. It was the pull of my heartstrings, like chasing a scent I couldn't quite name, sneaking in the back door with no real plan or roadmap. LA didn't welcome me all at once. She called me in like a siren, whispering promises behind palm tree-lined streets, dropping hints of overheard conversations and secondhand chances. She didn't roll out the red carpet. She cracked the side window and left it unlocked. And like smoke, I slipped in. At first, I was just following my intuition. Then it became real. I started getting invited to backyard barbecues of people I admired, and they knew my name. I had opportunities to speak at USC, private openings at the Getty, and was asked to collaborate with a highbrow art magazine. The momentum, energy, the recognition was all happening. I somehow knew there was a reason that I was supposed to be here, but I just couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. And then I started to understand. The flames were digital now. No torches, no stakes, just a slow, smoldering burn of pixels and outrage. I never saw myself as a witch, not the broomstick kind, not even in the Salem sense. But in a world where women who speak too loudly or create too freely are branded dangerous, I suppose I should have seen it coming. I was a recovering artist, not recovering from art itself, though you could say it was an addiction, but from a past that no longer served me. Booze, bad lovers, and chaos. I traded it all in for meditation, ginger tea, and the kind of clarity that comes only after you've been completely lost. But art remained. It was in my bones, my blood, a current, a pulse, a fever, something I couldn't turn off no matter how hard I tried. My work had always teetered on the edge of acceptable. A collage series that turned saints into revolutionaries, a spoken word piece that dissected the modern witch hunt, and then, of course, the installation that sealed my fate, The Last Witch. It wasn't much, just a simple projection on the side of an old abandoned church, a woman's face illuminated with a flickering light, her mouth stitched shut with glowing thread. Underneath it said, "She spoke, they burned." It started out as a whisper of an idea, something lurking in the back of my mind long before I sketched it out. I was tired of watching women be silenced, of seeing their words twisted, their rage dismissed, their stories rewritten by hands that did not belong to them. I thought about my own mother, about the way her eyes filled with tears when she talked about the things that mattered most. And my friend Rachel, who was passed over for a promotion because she was too intense. And about myself and how many times I had swallowed the words I wanted to scream. The image came to me in pieces. First, the stitched mouth, then the flickering flames. The abandoned church in the Pacific Palisades was always my first choice. Perched high on a ridge, scorched by wildfires, it stood charred and hollowed, a blackened ribcage of what it once was. A place where voices had been lifted in prayer, now hushed and forgotten. It felt right, like Mother Nature had already done half the work for me. I thought it was clever. The internet did not. And then boom, the op-eds, the think pieces, the faceless avatars. They called it a glorification of victimhood, an attack on free discourse, and a dangerous act of defiance in the world that's already on edge. The university that had once celebrated my artistic vision issued a statement distancing itself from my extreme messaging. A gallery quietly pulled my upcoming show, my inbox flooded with messages of concern, support, and the kind of threats that made me check my locks twice at night. "You should apologize," said my friend Rachel over coffee, "or at least clarify. Say you didn't mean it like that." But I did mean it like that. She sighed, stirring her cappuccino. "Then they'll keep coming for you. Let 'em." I was always stubborn, maybe to a fault. But I also knew this wasn't about my art. It was about control, about who gets to tell the story and who gets erased, about what we're allowed to say before the mob says we've said too much. Then came my hair. At first, I didn't notice. A few extra strands on my pillow, a little more in the drain after the shower. Stress, I told myself, it's normal. But soon it was undeniable. My once thick curls were thinning, breaking, disappearing. It felt biblical, like some unseen force was stripping me down, reducing me to nothing. The more they erased my work, the more I seemed to disappear piece by piece. There were only two options: escape or confrontation. I chose to walk through the door that scared me most and shaved my head. The act itself was strangely cathartic. As the hair fell around me, I felt lighter, freer, a witch shedding her disguise, revealing the power underneath. I posted a photo online with the caption, "You can try to burn me, but I've already walked through the fire." The fury burned out as they always do. The world found new witches, new stakes, and new flames. And I stood in the ashes, the invisible mark left on women who refused to be quiet. I lost people. Some turned away. Rachel stood by me, as did a few others. But there were losses too, the ones that no longer returned my calls. An art opening in Culver City, old friends pretended to see me, their eyes darting past me like I was a ghost. Doors that had just been opened a few weeks before were now firmly shut, the welcome mat pulled inside. It wasn't just silence. It was the absence of presence. The slow fade of faces that once saw me. Walking home, I caught my reflection in the window of a boutique on Abbot Kinney. The same face, but something was gone. Not just my hair, but a shimmer, dulled, like a photo that's fading from memory. It was a lonely kind of victory, one that tasted more like ashes than triumph. Each win a reminder of how much I'd lost in the process. One night I went back to the church in the Palisades. The projection was gone, scrubbed clean by time and weather, but I stood there anyway. The neon haze of downtown flickered in the distance, soft against the coastal night sky. Coyotes howled somewhere behind me in the canyon, and the hum of the Pacific Coast Highway drifted up the hills like an old memory. I waited, listening, hearing something just beneath the city hum. For the witches before me, for the ones yet to come, and for you, if you ever find yourself standing at the edge, deciding whether to speak or stay silent, because they will come for you, if you're lucky, if you're brave. If you make something that matters, they will come. They always have, and they always will. So what will you do? When the fire reaches your feet, when the voices rise against you, when they try to make you disappear, will you let them? Or will you burn brighter? Yeah.